This is day 21 of the 30-day reading challenge, and today's book is regarded as one of the first existential novels to be written. The book is called Notes from the Underground, written by Fyodor Dostoevsky. The book is about 154 pages and it consists of two main parts. The first part is shorter but much harder to digest in my opinion. Titled Underground, it is set in the 1860s when the narrator is about 40 years old. We do not know who the narrator is, but he can be referred to as the underground man. The entire book is written from his point of view in first person, though in this part it addresses the audience, particularly with you and gentlemen. This part looks at his character, how he views the world, and particularly his thoughts and philosophy regarding many human characteristics. For example, he shares his thoughts on human advantages compared to other animals, and the seemingly important aspects of suffering. He continuously brings up topics of spite and reason. He also talks plenty about himself and describes himself as overly conscious about his thoughts and others. As he is intelligent, he is also miserable. He gives plenty of examples, and yet he is best described as an unreliable narrator. He constantly contradicts himself, saying that he lied or did not lie, speaking that he was only jesting or joking. As well, since he writes as if he's aware that there's an audience, this further muddles his waters, and he even tries to guess the audience's judgments of him towards the end of the section. The second part is much simpler in my opinion, as it looks into his past life at the age of 24. Titled Approximate to the Wet Snow, we get to see his younger self and how his younger self applies and develops his eventual philosophy and views. He experiences hatred, love, and humiliation and deals with them in his own unique way. Dostoevsky does point out that the underground man's notes continue, and that the author has clipped them off at the point that he saw fit. He also emphasizes that the character is fictional and the views are not the author's, at least not completely. The first part of this book was incredibly challenging for me, and I had to search up and reference quite a bit of terms and notes from outside sources. As well, there were so many loops and confusing bits, and as I mentioned, the underground man keeps on contradicting himself, so it took me a while to read some of the paragraphs. This is perhaps one of my first encounters as well with philosophy, and I must admit that it's been a rough ride. The sentences are also worded slightly weirdly, and there are many references that I didn't get. Yet after clearing some things up, the book posed quite a few fascinating questions and concepts that I would have never ever thought about before. For example, the narrator points out that narrow-minded people carry out revenge due to the fact that they perceive it as justice, and are blinded by their instincts. However, as the underground man, he is too conscious about the complexity of revenge, and dwells on what has wronged him until it almost consumes him. The second part of the book was much easier to read since it was actually a story of his past life. Whereas the first part lacked flow and consistency, the second part at least contained some other characters and details of the setting. I found it incredibly eye-opening and enjoyable. In short, I would recommend this book to people who enjoy philosophy or would like to open their mind to new trains of thought. If you like to think a lot about all sorts of issues and things in general, then this book can very possibly be a treasure. The book will explore all sorts of aspects of existing, as well as some unorthodox theories. If you despise complication, loops, confusion, then I wouldn't suggest you read this. Anyhow, that's my book for today. If you've read it, let me know how you thought of it. I'd be glad to discuss anything with you, though I'm afraid I'm rather lacking in the philosophical field, so I'll probably learn something as well. If you have any suggestions, please share your thoughts as well. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the book.